Okay. Can everybody else see the slides? Can anybody please tell us in the chat or?
If you can see the slides. If you can't see the slide, please say it in the chats. Cannot
Okay.
see the slide, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, brilliant. Okay. Should we start then, if that's all right with everybody?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. My name is Mariam. I am CT2 psych trainee who is currently working in CAMPS inpatient unit. And today's session is not focused on psychiatry, it's focused on the general portfolio that you need to build up when you are working in non-training jobs and eventually start your first job in this country. If you yeah, you guys can see the slides. If you cannot see the slides, just give me a heads up or just post in the chat so that we know that you guys can't see the slides. Okay, what is the need of the portfolio is the first question. Do we actually need a portfolio? Why we need it? All these sort of questions start popping up in the head when we first join as a new non-training doctor. Well, coming from a different background, I struggled too as an immigrant. And that's why I think this session is really helpful, especially for those who haven't done their foundation trainings in this country. So to give a little bit background of the need of this portfolio is that during the foundation training, F1 and F2s, they have a portfolio and they have a set curriculum like we have as trainees, and they make sure that their portfolio is totally mapped to their curriculum. So when they apply for training jobs, obviously because their portfolio is completely prepared during their F1, F2s, when will you prepare that portfolio to match with the foundation trainees? That you have to prepare it during your non-training jobs, and that's why having a portfolio is very important. The second thing is ARCP. So at the end of every year you have to have a ARCP. We're going to talk about it in a bit, and that's another reason why you need a why you need a properly completed portfolio. Okay, so to enter training, almost all specialties have interviews after initial exam. That's multi-specialty recruitment assessment, except GP and psychiatry. So obviously for the interview, you will need a portfolio. And if you have worked, let's say for 3 months or 6 months in a non-training job, that's your golden period to to get your hands on the portfolio. Now, one thing that I think is really tricky to cover in this session is what exactly you need to fill in the portfolio. Why is that? Because if somebody is applying for a psychiatry training later on, they don't need an interview at this point. And if somebody is applying for GP training, they don't have an interview either. But previously, before COVID, there used to be an interview for GP and psychiatry as well. And we don't know when the interview will be brought back in the system. But at the moment, you don't need an interview. But let's say if somebody wants to apply for surgery, or if somebody wants to apply for anesthesia or for radiology, the portfolio that they need to fill is completely different, because obviously the type of assessments that you have to do in surgery will be different than what you are looking for in in for the surgery training. But overall, the portfolio looks fairly same for everyone. It's just the way that you will fill it in different ways. What is e-portfolio? How many people? So we have only 19 people in this chat. We can actually make this very interactive and useful because it's not a lot of people. If any one of you wants to turn on the cameras, I wouldn't mind. It's totally up to you if you want. And I don't know how do you guys want to do it, but I would love to do it in an interactive way. Can I get something in the chat box if you guys want to do it in a little bit interactive way? Or you guys just want me to speak and then leave?
Hi everyone. If she wants to make it interactive, so
It's totally up to you guys. Like,
encouraging. Yeah, if you can, put it in the charts, or if you want to put on your camera,
Yeah,
whichever one you're
it's
printing with,
totally up to
please.
you. I'll keep running by, and I've given you an option if you guys want to. Anybody wants to turn on the cameras or just raise a hand. We can even like unmute and talk in between so that you guys can have maximum benefit of this session. Okay, so what is a portfolio? Anybody already using Horus among you 19? Anybody who is already using Horus? Okay, so e-portfolio is basically, there are two types of portfolios. The first one is Horus, that is used in England, and the second one is Taurus, that is used in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. What the e-portfolio is basically a sort of website where you can keep your documents together to evidence your progress in learning, and later on you can use it to reflect on your learning. Also, this e-portfolio gives you an opportunity to reflect, to make your personal developmental plan, encouraging you to think about what you need to do next to help you progress in your career and prepare for an interview later on, and also helps you in ARCP. Okay, now here is a catch that nobody is going to spoon feed you. So when you start a non-training job, you need to know that you need a portfolio, and you need to ask education department, you need to ask your supervisors that you need a portfolio. A lot of the times it happens that the medical education wouldn't know that you actually have not got access, because the F1, F2s have already got access from their deaneries. So you need to actually like push a little bit and ask them for the portfolio and portfolio logins. And it's totally free if you're working in a trust, and they should give you access. Okay. What a portfolio includes. The exact format of each portfolio may vary, as I mentioned earlier, like if you're planning to do surgery or radiology, the way you will fill it will obviously be different. But generally, it will include a personal professional development plan, that's called PDP, meetings with your educational and clinical supervisor. So there is a separate area where you enter all your meetings. Supervised learning events that are called SLEs, then your TAB forms, and reflective reports and other evidence, and ARCPs. Now, what is PTP and what is SLE? And my head is spinning too. Your might be too if you haven't been familiar with these terms. Honestly speaking, when I first started working in NHS, and I used to look at like SLEs, I was like, what is this? And the only SLE I knew was systematic lupus erythematosus. And I was like, what is this thing? But slowly you get hang of it, obviously. And when you keep filling your portfolios on daily basis, you really get familiar with what it is. We're gonna talk about it in a bit. Okay, so two most important people in your every rotation is your clinical supervisor and your educational supervisor. You need to make sure that you have these people added on your portfolios, and you have like regular meetings with your portfolio with your supervisors. Now basically, as a non-trainee, to be very honest, I really struggled to catch up with my clinical supervisor, because as a non-trainee, they don't have to report back to the deanery for you. So it's you who have to really try hard and really ask them every now and then for a meeting. Not every, obviously, it depends on department as well. For example, my first job was in surgery, so everybody was anyway very busy. So you have to like email everyone, remind them of the meeting, and ask them if they can schedule one for you. But eventually, obviously, if you are interested to do it, they'll be interested to do it too. Okay. Then what is a personal development plan, PDP? PDP is an individual plan to suit you. It is a systematic way of identifying and addressing your educational and professional developmental needs. It is a tool that can identify areas for further development and encourage lifelong learning. A PDP can identify goals for the forthcoming year and methods for achieving these goals. What makes a good PDP? Time and thought. Just take your time, think about it, like what you want to do, and what are your goals, and how you're going to achieve them. You don't need to fill a PDP on your day one of a new job without even knowing what you want to do. So take a week or two, think about it, and then fill the PDP. Never write anything in PDP that you can't achieve. For example, if you're just starting a job and you have no plans to give exams, please don't put it on PDPs that you want to give an exam. One and what makes a good PDP is one that identifies your learning needs. So my PDP usually it's used to be always I want to like improve my history taking. I want to improve this sort of clinical skill. I want to to learn this procedure. So I really kept it very very simple. And on a broad on a personal level, to me sometimes it looked like it is very very simple, but at the end of the rotation it was achievable and it was easy to tick off, like yes, I put this PDP, I have done that in 6 months time and I'm ready to move on. Now the next question is how to identify your learning needs. To identify your learning needs, sit down and ask yourself, what do I want to learn? What do I want and what I need to learn? Obviously, you can't answer this question until you know your career goals. You can't fill up a portfolio for surgery and apply for radiology. So you need to know what are your career goals. But if you don't know, at least you know your progression. For example, if you have no plans to join any training or you don't know which training you want to do, you can still do the basic things. For example, history taking is a basic that will go anywhere in every specialty. Excuse me. Uh, communication building. Just give me 1 second. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Apologies to all. Probably just choking here and there. But if you have any questions while you're listening, please just feel free to throw in your question in the chat box, and they all will be answered afterwards. We just need to just listen and yeah, ask whatever questions you have afterwards. Feel free to do so, please. Thank you very much. Just bear us one moment, please.
Hello. So sorry, guys. My throat was totally gone, so I just took a minute. So sorry. Okay. So for each learning needs, ask yourself that what you need. Oh yeah, we were talking about like if you're not planning to do training, or if you don't know which training job you want to, you can still fill your portfolio with the basic things. For example, communication skills, and you can get evidence for the communication skills. For example, you can fill general things like learning different procedures. So even if that's not your ultimate goal, you'll still be able to.
Sorry, Miriam, you're muted.
Yeah.
You're muted. Okay.
What are
Can you also expand? Sorry, Miriam, can you expand your PowerPoint so that it's clearer to everyone to see as well?
Is it not
Just in case
expanded?
there's on our side, no.
Okay.
So if you expand the shared one, the one you're sharing.
How do we expand that?
Just go to the top right corner. There is 3 boxes in between the minus and the X sign. There's a box, 2 boxes into one. Just click on that. It's going to expand it.
Yeah, if you can
Top
just
right
make it a
corner.
slideshow, if you make it a slideshow, then it would be
slideshow.
expanded as well.
Thank you.
If you
Sorry
click on
to bother you.
slideshow,
Slideshow is
current
to the
slide.
top of the list.
Yeah, slideshow.
And if you say from current slide.
From current slide. Is it now
Yeah.
any better?
Better now. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What are supervised learning events? So supervised learning event is an interaction between a foundation doctor and a senior consultant or trainee or SHO, which leads to feedback and reflective learning. They can be signed off by anyone who has completed their foundation training and even by pharmacists. So if you have a pharmacist um, in your department, go get something signed from them, and they're really, really helpful. Yes, honey. Okay, honey, just go downstairs, please. You take this and go downstairs, please. Please. Go play downstairs.
Sorry about that, everyone. Mothers will always have to be
Sorry, guys, I
mothers.
have a
Sorry.
toddler, and no matter how much you try, I have a babysitter as well at the minute, but toddlers are toddlers. Okay, so SLE tools. How do we get SLE signed off? Is mini cracks, DOPS, CBD, and DCT. These four things are completely different. Mini cracks is the Mini-CREX is the mini clinical evaluation exercise. It records a patient-doctor encounter observed by a trainee for teaching purpose. For example, history taking, examination, these all are mini-CREX. When you sign up for your Horus portfolio, you can easily see these boxes showing up as mini-CREX CBDs. And if you're doing something like history taking, you can easily get a mini-CREX signed up. But obviously, you need to have a supervisor, for example, a registrar, a F2, or a consultant in that setting with you. DOPS, direct observational procedural scale. The primary purpose of DOPS is to give feedback on the foundation doctor's interaction with the patient when performing a practical procedure. For example, taking bloods. So if you're not doing examination and you're doing some sort of practical procedure, you can get a DOPS sign. What is a CBD? CBD is a case-based discussion. So any case, any clinical case that you have seen, you can discuss it in depth with your senior and then can get a CBD signed off. For example, if you have seen a complex case during your on-call event, you can always come back to your consultant and say, you weren't there in that situation, but I want to discuss this particular case. And you can discuss your history, DDs, how you manage the patient and get a CBD signed off. DCT. To be very honest, DCT is something that I struggled because I didn't know what is DCT for a very long time. DCT is developing the clinical teacher. So any form of teaching can contribute towards a DCT. Sunny, please go down to Fatih. I don't know. Just take it downstairs. Okay, take it downstairs. DCT is developing the clinical teacher. So any form of teaching can contribute towards a DCT. It does not have to be a formal sit-down teaching session or online presentation, but instead it can be even an informal teaching. For example, if you have a F1 with 2 and you are a SHO and you are teaching something, you can always ask them to get a feedback from them. Like later on, you can say like, when we were at the bedside, I help you learn this or that. Can you please give me a feedback if I send you a DCT form? And then you can send them a DCT form. And same with your seniors. If, for example, you are in MDT and you choose to present a case or something, you can always ask the MDT who was leading MDT at that point to sign the DCT for you. Okay, so what we covered till now is SLEs. So in your portfolio, obviously, there will be the first requirement will be filling SLEs, and that's that we just discussed. That is mini-CREX, DOPS, DCTs, and also you feel like any sort of interaction that you have with your supervisors. That's clinical supervisor and educational supervisor. Does anybody has any question related to SLE that we can pick up here before we just move forward?
Hello.
There's some
Hi.
questions in the chat.
I just want to ask one thing that we often hear to get feedback form signed from any junior doctor whom I have taught anything, any procedure or anything. Then how does the form look like? I don't know about DCT form.
Yeah.
How to get that feedback? Is it
So
a form or just a paper, any kind of document?
do you have access to Horus?
No.
So when you get access to Horus, Horus has its inbuilt forms in it. So you literally don't have to make any forms at all. Horus makes your life so much easy. If you are England, it's Horus. If you are in Wales or in Ireland, it is Taurus, but it's essentially the same thing. So the moment you log in and you do you like enter your details and everything, it gives you option of sending mini checks or sending CBD or sending DCT form. So all you have to do is you have to like fill in the details, like this was the procedure that I taught, this was the person whom I was teaching, and then you have to in the end just write the email address and send it over. If you are an immigrant who is not yet here, and if you're asking what to do while you are in your home country, you can
Yes,
simply,
exactly.
yeah, I get what you were trying to ask. So that's why I just wanted to cover it. So what you can simply do is you can just get a form printed out. The form, it doesn't need to have a specific set pattern at all. It can be anything. Like you can just make a template of your own. You can just write, this was the procedure that I taught, procedure taught. The next one can be feedback taken. What was the feedback from your colleague? And that's it. It doesn't need to be something very complicated. You just need to have it. It doesn't need to be very complicated.
Okay, thank you,
And
Dr. Mariam.
also, and also, if I correctly remember, there is always a feedback form on the GMC website as well. If
Okay,
I am not mistaken, because I remember there used to be one that just says colleague feedback form or the teaching
What?
feedback form.
okay, I
No,
will try to get
I
that.
didn't hear me watch it now. It's just the top. Uh, remember, I removed it from the box I did from the Ghana mosque when we came back.
Sorry, say that again. Hello? Were you asking something?
No, I think you should go ahead. Maybe you just let the
Yeah.
mic on.
Okay. So the next thing is reflections. Um, doctors are committed to lifelong learning. So we have to reflect on every event, either personal or practical, on ourselves, on groups, on supervise, on any sort of supervisions, and on personal or professional level. This is something that, to be honest, when I started working, I was like, what are reflections, how I'm going to write them? And I still struggled when until I started training, and I actually got hang of it after a very long time, because I always thought it's something very complicated and you have to write like complicated paragraphs, but you don't. Reflection is simply sitting down and reflecting on a situation. For example, if you had a difficult interaction with one of your colleagues, or you both were not agreeing to the same thing and you guys have a difficult conversation, it can be a very good piece of reflection for you to sit down later on and think maybe this could have approached in a different way. Similarly, any interaction with a patient that, for example, if a patient being aggressive to you, if something affected you, you can always sit back and write it down as a piece of reflection in your portfolio. Interestingly, after a very long time, I get to know that my Brit colleagues used to even write their personal things as a reflection as well. And I really love the idea. Like, for example, if you have watched a movie or something, and that if you're doing a surgical rotation and you watched a surgery, anatomy related some movie, you can always put it as a reflection, like this is what I watched and it raised these questions in my head, and this is what I'm thinking about it. And that actually shows that in even practical life you use reflections. um okay. Analyzing your own practice through reflections allow for acknowledgement of feelings and emotions to reduce stress. And a lot of the time when you sit down and you write, you feel a lot better than what you were feeling before. um Self-awareness, clarification of roles. How have I developed? Where do I fit in within a team? A lot of the time, when we have a heated argument or a difficult situation, reflecting on it is the best way to move forward. Monitoring one's own performance. A lot of the time, when you sit down, reflect back, you see, oh, maybe I should have done management in a better way in this way, or I should have prescribed this thing, or I should have escalated at this point. um, and monitoring your own performance, practice development, stimulating ideas of change and questioning existing practice, identification of support system or lack of them, and challenging ideas and beliefs of your own as well. What else you need to do is research, audits, and QIs. Now, in fairness, it is very difficult to cover audit QIPs in one single teaching or presentation that's actually not based around audit and QIs. But one basic difference between audit and quality improvement is quality improvement is a whole process that undertake to make a patient's experience and outcome better, and it is achieved through a systematic approach. Okay, whereas audit is a quality improvement cycle. If you understand this basic difference that audit is a cycle, you have to do it, then you have to check how much of what you have done is effective. And QIP, quality improvement, is a whole pattern. It's not a cycle, it's a pattern. It's a whole process where you actually bring some change, a positive change in a healthcare setting. If if any of you is not in NHS at the moment and is an immigrant and thinks that how can they do QIP or audit at home, you can do it. It's not that hard. You just need to know how to do it. Um, for doing audit, you you just need to work in the same place where you're doing the audit. Of course, you can't do an audit where you're not working, because audit is all about bringing a change, and same as QIP is like bringing a change, quality improvement. And you have to do it at your current based place. But um, but you can, of course, you can definitely do it at in your home country. Um, I can't cover. I know there will be a lot of questions about audit and QIs, and that's why I'm talking about this little bit. But I can't cover whole of it in this presentation. If this is something you guys want to talk about, then there should be a separate presentation to talk about how to do an audit. But you can definitely do it in your home countries. And when you come to NHS, and you are interested to do audit, just ask your supervisors that you want to be involved in audit, in an audit or a quality improvement project. And you can also join some of your registrars or SHOs who are already doing it. You just need to ask around, and somebody will involve you in one of their audits, or the research project or something. It totally depends on how much interested you are to do something. Yeah, Farhan, you want to ask something?
No, I just by mistake I
Yeah.
tap on that.
That's okay. That's totally all right.
Sorry to jump in, Miriam. About the audits, we also have audit courses going on. So we've put that on the chat as well. The link is there, just in
That's
case you
really
make
nice.
inquiries about
Mhm.
that. So we have that. Just check on the BaloSeghaEdu.com. Loads of courses there as well. Thank you. Thank you.
That's really helpful, to be honest, because a lot of the people, they want to do audit, but they don't know how to do it, and that's a totally separate topic. So it's really helpful if you have courses on it. Okay, the next thing is, do I have to be nice to everyone at work? Well, it's totally your choice, but you have to get tab form signed on in the end of the rotation. And tab is anonymous form that the foundation doctors, and if you are a non-trainee doctor, you also have to get signed from your team. And the rating and comments are submitted by each assessor. Now, the interesting bit is your supervisors and administrators can see who submitted which rating and comments, but you can't see it, and neither they will tell you. So the only thing you will get to hear from your supervisor is that somebody said that your time management wasn't good. Somebody said you was really good in your work. Somebody said you were really bad at your work. Whatever it is, it will be with somebody. They will never tell you who gave that exact comment or who gave you what rating. Okay, a valid tab. A valid tab requires minimum 10 assessors. So that's why you need to really work with your team, and you need to know your team, because you can't just get it signed from all the SHOs. It needs to be 2 consultants or trained GPs. One of them is obviously your clinical supervisor. The other would be anybody who you are working with in your department. One other doctor more senior than F2, 2 senior nurses, band 5 or above, and 2 allied health professionals. Other team members including ward clerks, secretaries, or auxiliary staff. Anybody has any questions still so far? Or have I made everybody sleep? Like, come on, guys, unmute and tell me, is anybody even listening? Say a yes or no.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes, we're
I'm
Okay.
listening.
listening.
Okay, fab. So I have not put everybody to
Yes,
sleep.
listening.
No, nobody's sleeping.
It's
Trust
Yeah.
me.
really hard online. You know, like when you're doing face to face, you can see some sort of reactions. You can see what is happening. But when you're doing online, you're just talking to yourself without knowing what's happening. But okay, so what if I'm not planning to start training job anytime soon? Should I still fill my portfolio? Well, you need to fill it because you need a ARCP. So now what is ARCP? ARCP is annual review of competence progression. So at the end of every year, even if you are a non-trainee or a trainee doctor, you have to go through ARCP. You have to be assessed that what you are doing is right and you are doing something in your job. So to prove that you are doing something, you have to have some evidence, and to have evidence, you need to have portfolio. That's really it. Anybody got any questions? Then I have like a few things that I want to tell to anyone who is immigrant and not here, but looking to join and want to know. But I'll cover it in a minute after we cover the questions. Anybody got any questions?
Let me just quickly jump in. First of all, Miriam, thank you so much for that presentation as well. It shows you really touched on a couple of very vital things. So we really utterly appreciate that. Just before the question, so please prepare your questions. I'm sure you have loads and loads and loads of questions. I want to quickly invite Victoria. By the way, that's my lovely wife. She needs to talk about one or two things. Audit and a few things that she wants to just bring to our attention. So I'll give you the mic for like a minute or two to quickly say about what you need to say, and then we'll come back to the questions and sort it out ASAP. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dr.
First, I hope we can all hear me. Yeah. So, first of all, I just want to say to everyone here, this is a golden opportunity that you have right now, because for many of us that started training, so I actually came from my country to start training immediately. Apologies, I also have a toddler, so I know Mariam's struggles. Um, I came from my country to start training immediately, and nobody actually told me what to expect. So having an idea of what to expect, starting training, I think it's very, very useful. And part of the things that BaloSegha is trying to do is to make sure that when people come to start work, wherever they start in the NHS, whether training or non-training, they have the resources and the tools that they need to make the best use of their time. And that is why we have an educational arm of BaloSegha, apart from our accommodations. It's called BaloSegha Edu. I've put the link in the chat. So what BaloSegha Edu does is it gives people a lot of information on different things to expect when they are starting work in the NHS, even just from after passing PLAB. So we talk about what are the do's and don'ts of GMC registration. We talk about how you need to search for NHS jobs. Sorry, just 1 minute. How to get your CV reviewed. And then we also teach on audits as well. So if you want to do an audit before you come, because I don't know other people's experience, but in my experience, nobody taught me about audits. When I came, I just had to do it. It's something we have to do every year for our annual review. So it's good to have an idea before you come. And all of that is on baloseghaedu.com. We also provide NHS job packages. So we know that the job market is very competitive right now, and people are finding it hard to get. So what we do, provide help with CV review, help you to search for NHS jobs depending on what kind of field you want to work in. And we do interview practice as well. And really, we've got lots of positive feedback from people who've used our services and eventually got a job. So I just implore you, take use of this, make use of these resources. Most of our courses are free. You have a few paid ones, but most of them are free. So please go on from here and enroll in the courses. Just want to also say one thing about our PLAB accommodation. So if you came early, you would have seen that we played videos about our accommodations if you're writing PLAB too. And I just want to say every year we always work on improving what we offer to people. So apart from providing comfortable accommodations, apart from the fact that we have mannequins, we have BNF, we have both the phlebotomy mannequin and a full body mannequin. We also have books to help you. So for example, if you finish your exams, in our houses, you see a book called Welcome to the UK for IMGs. It gives you an idea of what starting in the NHS is like, what kind of things you need to do to settle down. And we also have a book called Thriving in the NHS. So it tells you, you don't just have to come and just survive in the NHS, you can actually thrive. So just to let everybody know about these resources, please make use of them. We have a WhatsApp group that is dedicated to our educational arm. And if you want to join, I'll post the link in the group. It's just so that you have an idea of everything educational that BaloSegha is running and you can be a part of it as well. Thank you very much. And thank you, Miriam, for
Absolutely, you're right.
giving us this presentation today.
I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you
My
very
toddler was like, in half of the presentation, he was like, "Mama, mama," but that's out of my control.
No,
No
it's
worries. Thank
understandable.
you.
Toddlers everywhere. They are blessings from above, so we can't do without
Yeah,
them. We were
can't
once
do
toddlers
anything.
too, so yeah.
There is a question in the
If
chat
people are,
about learn and
yeah,
leader.
exactly, yeah.
So basically, learn and leader are fairly new forms in the portfolio. And personally, I haven't filled them myself. But when I was like looking to prepare this presentation, I looked for learn and leader. So basically, let's talk about the learn first. So for learn, any of your mini activity or your DCTs, anything can become a learn if you reflect on it. So basically, it's a way to um, encourage you to reflect on what you have learned. So if you want to fill a learn form, what you have to do is you have to reflect on that self-learning assessment that you have done. And for example, if you have done a CBT, you can always reflect on it, and then that will become a learn. And for a leader, and when you're documenting your mini CACs or CBT, or when you are planning to do a learn, you can use a SMART approach. Anybody knows what is SMART? What does SMART stand for?
Specific.
SMART is one of the things that actually I'm putting in the chart. SMART is actually one of the things that you should know regardless of this learn and leader thing, because it helps you to answer in a better way. It helps you to write in a better way, because if you know, yeah, specific, measurable, yeah, somebody started. Achievable, yes. Relevant, well done.
Time.
Yeah, amazing.
Targets.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming up with the answers. Yeah. Time-based. Yeah, it is time-based. The last one is time-based. So basically, by using the SMART approach, what you are trying to do is you are trying to make a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and then you are trying to set time-based boundaries to achieve that one goal. Now, when you're trying to make fill a learn form, you need to follow the SMART approach. Like, what is your goal? What are you trying to do? Is it measurable? It is doable? Is it something you will be able to do in like 6 months time? For example, if you start doing an audit but your audit window is like 8 months long, that's not time bound, and that's not time based. So you have to like follow a SMART approach, and then do a mini CAC CBD, whatever, and then reflect on it, and then that will be your whole learn thing. For the leader thing, in your portfolios, basically, it's also a new form. I haven't filled it myself in Horus, and it's not in the training forms as well. But it is split it into 6 domains: leadership in a team, effective service, acting in a team, direction of a setting, enabling improvement, and reflection. So it's basically, in a way, asking you how much have you contributed to the team in a leadership role. So for example, if you are attending MDTs on can you please share the presentation? There is no presentation for this. This was just a question that I'm answering. So for example, if you are sitting in a MDT and and somebody and you discuss a case or present a case, and then your consultant asks you to take a new patient, and you talk about that patient, any of these particular cases, and you take a leadership role in that situation, you can always put it as a leader form. And again, for example, in a ward round, if you're on call and if you went to see a patient on your own, or if you come back later on and you discuss with your registrar, or if there is any nurses present there whom you are giving a little bit of helping hand in the situation, and you are the main person who is there looking after the patient with the help of staff, you're actually in a leadership role, so you can fill the leadership form on all those bases. I hope that makes any sense. I haven't seen the form
I don't know if
myself,
you've
to be
asked
very
that
honest.
question. Miriam, someone has asked the question. I don't know if you've answered it. My medical staffing has said something about annual appraisal. Is it the same as ARCP? Did you see that
Sorry,
one?
one second. Where is the question? My medical staffing has said something about annual appraisal. Yeah,
So
it's the same
yeah,
as ARCP. So ARCP is something that you get as a gift from GMC for coming to this country, that you have to do every year, regardless of if you are trainee, non-trainee, even as consultant, you have to do ARCPs on regular basis. So every year you have to go in front of a panel, and you have to tell them, oh, I have done this, and they'll ask you, okay, what was your goal, what have you achieved. Now, interestingly, for non-training doctors, it is much easier, because a lot of the time you don't present in front of any team at all. They just look at your portfolio, or they just ask your supervisor, and your supervisor just sits down with you, fills all the forms, and then it just goes forward, and you get your ARCP form signed off. But if they find any concerns at all, or for example, if in your tab form you have been secluded in your tab form, then they will call you in ARCP panel and ask you to provide evidence of what you have been doing in the whole year. And in case if you don't know, to keep your GMC license, you need to do these ARCPs every year. If you don't get your ARCP signed, you can't retain your GMC license either. Anybody else? Any other
good.
questions?
Anybody, any other questions? Whatever you're not clear about, please post on the chat, and she'll be more than
I
happy
have
to
a question.
answer that.
Hi, yeah.
Yeah, Miriam, thank you very much for the presentation. My name is Olutwe.
Sorry.
Um, I just want to find out two things. One, can you feel your portfolio in retrospect? So imagine that you came into the country like 6 months ago, and now you're
Mhm.
hearing about the portfolio, the things you've done in the past 6 months. Is there an avenue for you to fill that in, or you start filling your portfolio from the moment you maybe signed on or got an e-portfolio?
So basically, don't leave it for the last minute, because, for example, if you saw a patient with a registrar and that registrar is not working 4 months down the lane, nobody will sign it for you. And a lot of the time, seniors won't even remember. But but yes, you can fill it retrospectively always. For example, if I have seen a patient today and 4 months later or 3 months later, I remember like I haven't done a CBD on that patient, and my consultant is happy to discuss that patient with me, I can always go and do that. Or if I think that registrar can sign it for me, you can always go and get it signed. The whole tricky part is you need to get it signed. That form has no value unless it is signed. So to get it signed, if doing everything on the last minute, it's not going to help. But yes, you can.
There are two
Who gives the
questions
Thank
in
you
login
very
box,
much.
all
details
right?
of who
Yeah.
gives the login details of e-portfolio? Your medical education. Yeah, somebody has rightly answered. Medical education. Thank you guys for stepping up and helping each other. That's what we need to do here. Are there any specific times in the year when the ARCP has to be signed off, or it can be signed off at any point of the year? So when you start working, they usually tell you that this month or this time this month or on this date, your ARCP is due. You know it beforehand, at least 6 months in advance. For example, my ARCP is in July, and I start getting emails in like January that in 6 months' time, is your ARCP coming. So it's not like they'll give you a month notice, but they'll tell you a date. Usually, every trust has their ARCPs in July. because July is the time when the trainees are ending and the rotations are changing. And even in my non-training job, it was always July. But if it is even a different month, they'll always tell you in advance. When applying for training, do you download your e-portfolio and attach as a part of your application? So it depends which training you're applying for. If, for example, for psych and GP, you don't need your e-portfolio. For radiology, you don't download it. You present it in your interview. For surgery, I'm not particularly sure you download it or you send it as like evidences. I'm not entirely sure if you have to print it or not, but it actually depends on your your specialty that you're trying to do applying for. But I'm not 100% sure which specialty
Awesome.
needs it printing out or which needs it attaching.
Good question so far. If you have any question, feel free. We're gonna round up soon. What of ED?
Just one
Last
more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you were talking
Nice.
about tab, which you said is anonymous, um, are you the one to give these people your sign on? How did they get to have access to your portfolio to then put in this anonymous comments?
Oh, that's interesting
Sorry, you have.
question. So basically, tab form is a form that comes on your Horus portfolio. You open the form, you just fill your self-assessment tab first, like what do you think about yourself? That forms gives you a chance to reflect on yourself first. So the first 5 boxes are like what do you think about yourself? And then it will give you option to add the and just emails of those whom you want to send the form. So you just add their emails, you ask them. So when you are working, obviously, if you're working with a registrar, you go and ask the reg, like, can I please send your Horus portfolio tab form? And your reg will not never say no. And then you will ask, can I have your email address? And then you will put that email address in your portfolio on your tab form, and it will automatically go to their email address.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we need to do portfolio also for the non-training jobs? Yes, that what we were talking earlier. How are you gonna get your ARCP signed off if you don't? What are your evidence in the end of the year then? What of ED? Emergency medicine also has their interviews, but again, I'm not sure if you need to print it out or if you need to attach it, or if you have to like present in your interview, but you definitely need it. How can somebody keep building portfolio in a non-training post while on maternity leave? Any specific about advice about educational activities one can do, please? This is a very good question, to be honest. One, maternity leave is not a leave, it's a break. And whoever is on a maternity break is not on a leave, they need to rest. That's the first answer of this question. The second thing is you can always do a lot of educational activities. For example, you can simply watch some YouTube videos relevant to um, your own department, and you can put that as reflections. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat box. You can always put that as reflections. You can read any sort of articles and books that you like relevant to your own department. What else you can do is if you're preparing for any exam, you can read stuff from there, put it as reflections, as learning logs. Obviously, you can't do a CBD mini CAX in that situation because you don't have anybody who is supervising you, but you can do these things. Also, there are free online courses available on Google, a lot of courses that you can take, and you can take things from there. And like, for example, if there is like a small course on prescribing that you want to do and just attach to your portfolio that you have been doing, you can do that. But to be very honest, if you are in a non-training post and you are on a maternity leave, nobody is going to penalize you for not doing it. So if you are struggling between a lot of things, you can take a good break. But if you can manage that, excellent, go for it, add in on your portfolio and do all of these things. Okay. Is yes, this in previous video. Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it will be there. Because we are recording it. Do you want to leave the link for the YouTube channel here in the chat, please?
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, anyone? When an IMG is applying for a job in NHS after PLAB, what are the things to follow to boost CV to get the job, as we have seen many people struggling with it? How can we do portfolio in our home country while waiting for non-training jobs? Can we get access to Horus from here? You can't get access to Horus from your home countries. All you can do is you can collect evidence for the things that you are doing back home. For example, you can make a logbook of the cases that you see, and you can register them. You can get feedbacks. You can just download the feedback forms and or make your own template, and you can get your feedbacks. If you are doing any sort of presentations, make sure you get a feedback or a certificate of presentation. You can just make it a template of your own, but make sure it is signed properly by the registrar and consultants. Also, what else you can do is if you have seen a um, difficult patient or a difficult case, you can always discuss it and put it like as CBT. But obviously, you have to like type it on your own and then print it and or keep it in a like paper copy form, so that in the end, if you need, you can put it on a OneDrive for everybody. What things you can do to boost CV to get the job, as you have seen people struggling. So I don't know if you know me before this webinar or not, but I have a Instagram account where I have literally this whole video. I don't mind if you wanna follow. I can leave the Insta handle, and when I finish this, I'm very happy to go back on the stories after I eat something. I'll put um I'll put that reel back on the story so that you don't have to find the reel, and you can see. But generally speaking, I would say if you can afford to do a clinical attachment, please do a clinical attachment. If you can afford to do a ALS, please do a ALS. Do the teachings. Teaching is a very major part of portfolio that we a lot of the times we ignore, and you can easily do when you are in your home country. Do formal and informal teachings and take feedbacks of those teachings and put them in your NHS track job. Also, there was something else. You can do the audit and QIs when you are in your home country. I have done a audit back home, so you can do it as well. It's not that difficult. And as Bobby was mentioning previously, they have the audit courses as well, if this is something you want to take. Otherwise, there are loads of videos on YouTube you can watch and see how can you do audit in your home country. It's not impossible. You can always do it. Can we do feedback forms for teaching in retrospective? Yes, you can. It doesn't need it. It shouldn't be anything fake. Please don't fake anything. That's a sincere big sister advice. Please don't fake anything. Don't write anything that you haven't done. Don't try to make up anything. Just write things that you have done. But yes, you can always get retrospective form signs. There is no um, contraindication of doing that, as long as the people that you present it to are happy to get it signed for you. Um, so these are the things that will generally help you to secure a job a little bit faster, but we know what the situation is going on. Anything else,
Thank you very
anyone?
much. Yeah, we'll just start calling it a day now. We want to thank Miriam, because we usually do this for 1 hour thereabouts ish. Want to thank Miriam for taking time out in the midst of this tight period. It's the fasting period, so we need to also release her to go and break the fast for today, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that you will have one question that you might probably remember later. That's not a problem. Just send it to BaloSegha. Let me just put this BaloSegha@yahoo.com. Just put it there and ask your question, and put in brackets training question or something in the subject, training question, and they will know. Feel free to ask whatever question. You might remember a question later today, tomorrow, anytime. Feel free. We're more than happy to help out. We also have social media handles, like Victoria's posted them as well. loads and things, information there as well. We're more than happy to have your answers, your questions answered. Want to thank everyone for attending, and not just attending, for asking questions. Olutoye, thank you for asking questions. It's good to hear your voice again after many years. And the number of us who came, thank you so very much.
Guys,
Good.
one last thing before we finish. Please don't be harsh on yourself. When you start working in a new system, it takes time. So whatever we have talked today, if it just flew over your head, it's okay. It flew over my head as well for a couple of months before I could come at this point and sit here and tell you these things. This is not my first month. This is not my second month. It's been 3 years of working in NHS that today I feel like, oh yeah, I know it and I can tell you guys. So please don't be harsh on yourself. Give yourself time and always ask for help. That's the key. Please ask your seniors, your supervisors, and people around you for help, and you will eventually learn with time. Best of luck, everybody.
Awesome. True. Very true. Look,
Thank
get
you.
get on
Thank you
to
so much.
get onto our YouTube channel. We will have this video in a couple of 1 or 2 days, and previous videos. Like I said, we do monthly programs Q&A, which will continue next month. But quarterly programs that will have, where special programs that will have invited guests like she. It's done quarterly. So the next one will be next quarter. All right. So previous ones we've done, we started doing this about 3 Februaries ago now, a little above 2 years ago. So it's very, very important that you go onto our YouTube channel. We've done loads and loads of courses. One very important course we've done is medical legal, which was very, very important to everyone. A lot of doctors, IMGs were having issues with GMC, and they didn't understand their legal and backgrounds and legal mandates and authority and all that. So very important we do that. There's also a free course of that medical legal we have on BaloSegha Edu as well. So feel free, if you have any questions, you remember there is no wrong question, there's no stupid question, there's nothing like or such. Feel free to ask any question anytime. Just send us an email. We'll be more than happy to assist. Miriam, thank you so much for coming on board. We really, really appreciate you. We hope we'll also invite you again soon and have another discussion again in the
It was
nearest
really
future.
lovely having you all, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for tolerating.
Thank you all. Until we meet again next month. Next month's time will be Q&A, the monthly Q&A. It will be on the last Sunday of April, which is Sunday the 28th, 6 o'clock GMT as usual. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And till we meet again, bye for now. Bye. Bye.